this film is dedicated to one of the very greatest teachers, um, also who I've never met, who, named, well, it's a very famous person. His name is Michael Landon. Okay, now that might surprise a lot of people who don't really know his work, because, well, he was a very good-looking Hollywood star. Um, and people think of him uh, as being just another superficial, good-looking Hollywood star, but he was much more than that. And he left a creative work behind him, which I know is having a huge effect on the world. I mean, his last serials, Little House on the Prairie and Highway to Heaven, and he was not only the lead actor, but he was the producer, director, creative genius behind these extremely powerful programs, which actually would inspire me and move me deeply day after day as I was sort of in my parents' home in despair, and I would watch these programs, especially Little House on the Prairie, and some of the episodes are incredibly powerful and incredibly moving, um, and I really learned, I think, about how life should be led from his work. So he was the producer, the director of many, and the writer of many of the episodes, the writer of the scripts. And the ones he wrote, actually, I am convinced, were the very best. There were other great writers, so it's not only his work, but others who also wrote for the series who are just amazingly powerful, moving things. That I was ready. When you're in despair, you're looking for light. You're looking for something, and anyway, that program, and to a lesser extent later, Highway to Heaven, they gave me big inspiration. And so, this is a film in tribute to him, to Michael Landon, but it's maybe more about, it's as much about me as it is about him. Like I know now that there was deep magic, deep lessons, important lessons about opening the heart, about loving, about how to live a life, that were being communicated through that show in the most powerful way. Okay, so who was this man who would have such a profound impact on the world? Michael Landon. The reruns are showed to this day all over the world and hugely popular. Some years ago, until maybe even now, I know it was very big in India, all over Europe, very big in France, all over the world, in Israel, where I live. It was for some years when I had first come here in the 90s. And so, I mean, he has had a huge effect, Michael Landon. Well, why? Why are these two shows so special for millions of people to this day? The reruns continue, and the Christian network here in Israel, until recently, showed Highway to Heaven from the 80s. It's a powerful and beautiful show. Once, when I was back at home in the early 80s, seemingly by mere coincidence, but it was synchronicity, I happened to turn on the TV again to a show that I didn't usually watch. It was a Christian show called The 700 Club. okay, with Pat Robertson. And on that program, a woman interviewed Michael Landon. And Michael Landon talked about a terrible incident that happened to his family. His daughter, who was a teenager at the time, his daughter was in a terrible accident. She was in a car. She was a teenager. She was in a car with 5 other teenagers. And the other 5 teenagers were killed. I don't remember if he said if the driver was high or on booze or on drugs, but I kind of think so. Anyway, they were all killed except his daughter, who was in a coma for quite a while. And Michael explained on the show, the Christian show, that he prayed to God. And he prayed that if God would bring his daughter back to him and to his family, to life, if he would bring her back, then he would dedicate the rest of his life to making programs that would declare the greatness of God, the greatness of human beings as the children of God, and the greatness of this world as the creation of God. He made a pledge to God. And sure enough, his daughter came out of the coma. A little more about Michael, Eugene Michael. No, I'll call him Michael because that's the name he chose, and it's a beautiful name. It's an angelic name with tremendous power that he lived up to in a beautiful way. So, it's not about being perfect. This film, for me, is about gratitude. And for me to say thank you, wherever you are, my great teacher. He identified with all of the down and outers of this world, who nevertheless struggle to go on. So maybe that's because it's always many, many reasons. The soul chooses when to leave and how to leave. So he left in the early 90s. I think it was around 91, maybe 92. But his legacy remains. And perhaps even on the YouTube. Thank you, Michael Landon, Eugene Orowitz. I know that you are well and that you live. The body dies and we do not. And thank you for what you've left for all the world and for what you've meant in my own life. So, God bless you all, and God bless this beautiful world and all the people and all the beings. Thank you.